Hello and good evening, everyone. Today I will be discussing an interview I conducted with a good friend and mentor of mine, Miss Catherine Mintz. She is a principal at Branchville District High School here in Knoxville, Virginia, and she has also taught many levels from elementary school to high school. We will be discussing about how it is important to be very good at communicating in the teaching world and also what it takes to become a teacher. During our interview, she told me that she was born in Africa due to her parents being a part of the Peace Corps, but Miss Mintz was raised in Iowa with the rest of her family. Later on in her life, she received a bachelor's in math and education and a master's in higher education. After those achievements, she then moved on to get married and move here to Northern Virginia to help open up Forest Park here in 2000, and then to receive her administrative master's and have one of her biggest achievements, which is having her 3 children. After that, she has just recently received her doctorate. She has been an administrator for 11 years now here in the school systems, but has been a principal for 9 of those years. During this interview, I asked her what it takes and what are the qualifications to become a teacher. She informed me that to become a teacher, you need to have a bachelor's in your area of content and education. If not, there's another way. You could say maybe be a math teacher or English teacher. You could get a provisional license and then teach through that and then receive an education license afterwards or during the process of teaching. When I asked her what a day-to-day life is at school or for a teacher, she informed me that it is mainly planning. It's all planning to the point where teachers have a planning period built into their schedules, although they do not use these planning periods all the time for just planning. They could use these to contact parents, go to meetings, or even have more one-on-one time with a student or help a student out if they need so. When I asked her what her favorite moments were throughout her years of teaching, she informed me that, she didn't inform me immediately. It took her a little bit of time. She then paused and touched her face a little bit while pondering. But when she found the answer, she informed me that her favorite moments teaching collectively is when students are struggling and they feel as though they can't make it to their goals in education, and she is there by their side and watches them receive their goals and to let them know that they are at their best and they are doing their best and they can reach these goals. When I asked her about her role models, immediately she already knew who those were, as her grandparents and her parents were actually teachers. Ironically, majority of her family is teachers, and she did not want to be a teacher when she first was thinking about what she wanted to be, but the way things worked out, she just eventually became a teacher. Her grandmother was a school teacher in a one classroom school where she taught, and her grandfather had only received a 8th grade education, but was able to get a profession to where he was able to help educate his children and give them the drive and the thirst for knowledge, to where actually all 7 of his children then received bachelor's in education and becoming teachers. Another great role model of hers was also her band teacher, which she fondly recollects was a blind man that was just so rambunctious and fun, and that every child felt safe around because he cared about the students, but he also cared about his music. So to put those 2 things together, everyone had a fun time and everyone learned and everyone was at their best. And that's something that she puts into when she teaches now, or when she's able to teach, since she's not a principal. When I asked her how important communication was in this field of work, she immediately deadpanned and said that communication is the fundamental and most important part of this job, while it is also the first concern and the first complaint when talking to students or teachers or even parents. How she talks about how no matter how you perceive it, the way you think it will be different than the way you say it, and will be different from the way it is interpreted. So to have a good structure and understanding of communication is very important. She talks about how even when teaching, let's say, math, you have to be very purposeful in what you say, as sometimes if not, it can get lost in the lesson and the students cannot learn. So to be purposeful in what you say and to always have feedback is very important in schooling, as she said. When I asked her about some advice she could give me, it took her a minute, but she also said that this advice not only carries on for this profession, but it carries on for life, and it was, put your energy into things you can change. And she laughed because she also says it's something she works on every day. No matter what happens between your students and your education, as long as you know you've done all you can and you've said what you could and you've done what you could without passing boundaries, you've done your best and you've helped that child out. But to let that child know that throughout all of this, they are loved and they're cared for, and that life will go on, because that is the most important thing that you could ever share with a child. And although she said there weren't strengths, she said to be a good teacher, they are innately good. They're inherently good. Sometimes they've just seen the process so much that they know how to connect with the students and what helps them connect, and that the things that they do when they switch up their plans they can't tell you why they do it. They just know it clicks with their students. And that was something that really stuck with me. Another advice she said was to always be professional and to remember that it is not about you. It is about the students. It doesn't matter how you understood the curriculum or how you got to know it. It's about how the students will understand and how the students will take this home and how they will interpret this information you've given them. And to always modify it to the students, because no matter how you plan it, it is not about you. It is about the students. And I really felt that one, because you would see some teachers only care about how they perceive it, and if you don't understand it, you might seem a little dumb. But she said that was not the case, and those are the worst type of teachers to be, actually. I asked her about the difference between elementary school and high school, considering those are the extremes of the scale of education, and how they were different or similar. She informed me that there was nothing really different. It's just really the ages and the topics that are different. The only true difference is that us older kids can really speak more on how we understand, while it takes a little bit more for children. Younger children do not question you much, and us older kids are better able to articulate ourselves. But in reality, all kids are the same. If they're going to goof off in the bathroom, it might be different that an elementary kid is playing with the water, but a high schooler is vaping. Those are really just only differences. They're still going to goof off in the bathroom, though. The intent is just different. When I asked her what her favorite range of teaching was, either elementary, middle school, or high school, she informed me that she loved both elementary school and high school. One thing that she would never want to do, though, was middle school, due to the attitudes and all the hormones in middle school that we all know happens. But with those in mind, she still loved to teach an Algebra 1 class, bunch of freshmen, and see them grow up from the middle school head that they have to become more better, mature adults in high school. When I asked her about the financial compensation to become a teacher, she said that it is an average salary of a beginning teacher to start off at $60,000, and it could go up to around $82,000 of a salary a year. Not many teachers do it for the money. They do it because they love to be around kids and to be around this type of energy, and to be able to give students the tools for a better future with education. To receive more money, you could receive a bigger salary if you receive your master's or master's 30. What she did inform me is that if you do get a doctorate, you do not receive a raise from that. My last question for her was what I had to be aware for when I become an elementary school teacher and what are things to look out for. And she told me that something she's told us since we began high school was to be a self-advocate for yourself and to always to be able to speak for yourself. And then she then turned it to younger children cannot advocate for themselves and they have a harder time of getting a message across. So with this knowledge, pay more attention to these children. The little things that they talk about, they're important, whether they have things going on at home or in school or in life in general, to always pay attention to these little clues that children are giving you because they cannot advocate for themselves, and to be the biggest advocate you can for these children. To be with them all day, not 24/7, but 8 hours a day compared to 90 minutes in a high school class, you receive a better connection with these children and you can feel more for them. So she said to just always be their advocate since they cannot be one for themselves, and to always just love and care for these children because she says they are our future. In conclusion, with this interview with Miss Mines, it was very emotional sometimes when she spoke because of the dedication and passion she has for us children, especially those going through hard times. Those are the ones she works on the most, and it's such an appreciative feeling to have. So to be able to have this interview with her just drives me more to want to become a teacher. To know that communication is such a bigger part with just listening to the cues children give you, to see that sometimes their actions aren't acting out, or to even talk with a high schooler for 5 minutes out of your day, you can really learn things about children, and they're very important. And with all this information of them, you can help them better, and you can make your curriculum better for them to understand them better because you now have a better connection with them. And I think that is the most important part of teaching. Thank you for this time, and I hope you guys have a great night.